Hello, everybody. Today I'm going to talk about random variables and how to obtain a frequency table by just looking at an example in Excel. Assume that we have this data. This is actually coming from a price of a financial instrument. And that's the mean, that's the standard deviation, that's the minimum, that's maximum. Our aim is to find out the frequencies. Since these are the prices do not have usually exactly the same number. So when we are talking about the frequencies, we are talking about the frequency in an interval. So we would like to obtain an interval, maybe 20 bins, maybe 10 bins, depending, and to look at the numbers falling into these intervals. What I mean by that, we have these prices and up to the number that we have, the data is 182 numbers we have in our number set, right? And the minimum is this number and maximum in this number. I would like to have like a bin in like 22 bins. Fair enough to see the picture. Our aim is to find out the histogram related to the frequencies of this pricing data. Okay, so that we are starting the minimum. So we would like to calculate the increment. Since we have 22 data bins, so each increment can be calculated by a minimum, maximum minus the minimum, divided by 20 or 21, whatever you like, so that the last number will be a bit different. But I extended a little bit the last one so that there will be, 0 in here. Anyway, so the first function that we are using in Excel, COUNTIF, this column, this here, calculates the number of the data into your data set before less than or equal to this number, and so on. Less than or equal to this number. COUNTIF if this data set is smaller than this number. Yeah, this is how it calculates. Now, these are the intervals that I choose. Right? We have this interval, we have this interval, and so on. So each interval is the increment in the size of 13.53. Okay, so I would like to calculate the number of the data points that falls into that interval, right? But this one calculates only the data just one before that number. So in order to be able to calculate the number of the data in that interval, which is the frequencies in that interval, we are going to subtract from the previous data. So if I subtract 29 minus 23, I will find this much number between this number and this number. In this interval, I have 6 numbers. In this interval, I have 23 numbers, and so on. Maybe if I do this like 21, that will be maybe giving me a different shape, but it will not change. This is why we would like to use, so this is like an input for us, right? We are allowed to change this increment. And you can change this increment. Actually, I can make this a lot smaller, maybe 23. And then you can extend this number, but you make sure that when you're extended these formulas, you need to extend, you need to be above the maximum of your set, because this is the last number that you have. The largest number that you have in your data set is the maximum number. So you want to reach that number in this type, right? That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, now let's go to my original versions of it. Okay, so this one calculate the number of the data between the intervals. So all we need to do after, these are the frequencies. And if you would like to graph that frequency, just highlighted it and go to insert and look at the recommended data. And Excel tells you, recommends you, with respect to your dataset structure, what is the best options to represent your data. I personally prefer you to do that. It is because you don't need to hustle what type. If you have a certain type of the graph in your mind, let's go for it. If it is not, please ask the Excel to recommend a chart for you. So this is that chart. So if there's a chart title here, you can choose a chart title and you can type it. But instead of typing, if you go to the formula size and say EQ and the reference to the name, it will be a lot better, because whatever I make a differences here, it will automatically be into my graph. Frequencies of prices, for example, it will be there. Okay? It is a better way to handle the chart titles of the chart in Excel. So this is the graph of the frequencies. As we see, we have a kind of a normal structure here, normal curve structure here, but the first one is really high, right? So this is definitely is not a normally distributed non-random variables. Okay, in the next one, I'm going to show you how to produce the normal distribution in Excel and how to produce uniform distribution in Excel and how it looks like in the graphs in the next random variables video. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.